Now, there are those, of course, who do not share my perceptions, it's true. When I say that all my women are dazzling beauties, they object. The nose of this one is too large. The hips of another, they are too wide. Perhaps the breasts of a third, they are too small. But I see these women for how they truly are. Glorious, radiant, spectacular, unperfect, because I am not limited by my eyesight. Women react to me the way that they do, Don Octavio, because they sense that I search out the beauty that dwells within them until it overwhelms everything else. And then they cannot avoid their desire to release that beauty and envelop me in it. And as for you, Don Octavio de Flores, you are a great lover like myself, even though you may have lost your way.
Imagine you had the power to make any woman instantly obsessed with you. Imagine you could walk up to any beautiful woman on earth and cast a love spell on her, which made her so insanely attracted to you, she couldn't help but tear your clothes off. That is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. But we're going to be doing this in a very counterintuitive way. You see, I'm going to show you how I've used being a hopeless, desperate simp as a technique to meet women and make them obsessed with me. As a result of which, I've dated models, strippers, and even porn stars, like the ones you see me pictured with here. Simping is a word that's commonly used to refer to pursuing a woman who isn't interested in you. For example, guys leaving a comment on a girl's Instagram being like, fire emoji, or you're so beautiful, sexy girl. That is the typical definition of a simp. And right away, I want to make it very clear that commenting on girls' pages and sending them DMs and so on is cringe, and that does not work. It's not what I'm advocating here. So when I say you should be a simp, I do not mean you should be leaving comments on girls' social media. If you do that now, stop, and don't ever do it again. So with that caveat out of the way, why do I say that simping is actually the ultimate way to make a girl obsessed with you? Well, currently, because of the so-called red pill and the current state of male dating advice, most guys, especially young guys, now think that showing any interest in a woman at all ever is simping. For example, give a girl a compliment, you're a simp. Tell a girl she's beautiful, you're a simp. Pursue a woman, or be persistent trying to get her to meet up with you, even if she stopped responding. Simping, stop, illegal! Which is just utter and complete bullshit. Look, here's the reality. The biggest fucking players in the universe, the guys who slept with hundreds of women, the guys who pull models, actresses, the top beauties in the world, these guys give women compliments constantly. They constantly express their affection and desire for women. They do it unapologetically. And if you don't believe me, read about the most famous seducers and womanizers in history, like Casanova or Lord Byron. Or even from modern times, look at videos of a guy like Russell Brand.
But you did say at the start of the year that you were considering attempting celibacy. Is that something that you have continued with?
What time do you finish work?
These are guys who are what you would call rakes. The rake is a seducer who catches their target's fancy by incessantly pursuing her. She is attracted to him because he seems to be madly in love with her. He also has a reputation for being a ladies' man and being reckless in love, but he never downplays or hides his notoriety. The rake burns with a desire that inflames the woman he is seducing. It is extreme, uncontrollable, and dangerous. Now, notice right away here, everything we just saw completely contradicts the Red Pill Ideology 101 as it's preached by these dogmatic guys who scream about simps. The rake is a seducer who catches their target's fancy by incessantly pursuing her. But that's simping. You can't pursue her. That's low value. That's needy. That's beta male. You're a beta male. I'm a sigma male. The women are supposed to pursue me. I just stand around and they come up to me. No. Shut the fuck up. This whole ideology of don't simp and don't pursue women is so unbelievably happy. I wouldn't be surprised to find out it was a literal psyop to lower the population. It is literally as if the devil himself came down to earth and rubbed his hands together and was like, how can I make these little shitheads believe the exact opposite of the truth? I know. I'll tell them that a high value man never pursues women. I'll make them believe that being high value is about ignoring women, and that when you ignore women enough, they inexplicably just start chasing you and tearing your clothes off somehow. No. Here's what actually happens when you ignore women. They think you're gay. You can't make a girl obsessed with you by playing hard to get. And here's why. Women, and people in general, don't value something until they've lost it. In behavioral psychology, this is called loss aversion. It means that people are roughly twice as motivated to win back something they lost than they are to get some new, unexpected reward. For example, losing $100 creates far more pain than the equivalent of pleasure you would get from being given $100. And where this comes into play in dating and in flirting is that women are only motivated to chase you when they feel a sense of loss. But you can't make her feel the loss unless she feels like she had you to begin with. And what this means in effect is that if you want a girl to chase you, if you want her to be obsessed with you, you have to be a bit of a simp, at least initially. You have to pursue her. You have to make her feel desired. You have to show her that you're interested in her. But then you pull away. Then you can use your red pill tactics of ignoring her or cutting off attention, or what I prefer, just teasingly pushing her away and disqualifying her. And so she's going to feel that change. She's going to feel, wait, this guy seemed like he was in love with me before, and I didn't like him then, but it was nice to feel like he wanted me. But now he doesn't seem to want me at all anymore. What the fuck? And that feeling of having lost your interest is what motivates her to start chasing you to win it back. Understand? This is so key. And so what this means is you should be giving girls lots of compliments. You should be giving them lots of attention and affection. You should be over generous with compliments and praise. You know, almost every girl I meet in a bar now, I start off by saying, I love you. I often say this literally in the first 5 seconds of meeting her, and I say this even to girls I'm not even attracted to. Every girl I meet, it's, I love you. You're fantastic. You're phenomenal. You look amazing. I'm ready to settle down. Let's get married and have lots of babies. I say this to everyone. Hot girls, ugly girls, young girls, old ladies. Everyone gets praised. Everyone gets effusive, over-the-top compliments when I'm in the building. And when I'm talking to a hot girl, I say the same thing, except now it's going to be even more intense because it's coming from a place of genuine desire. And even if I just met her 30 seconds ago, I'll literally declare my love for her. I'll say, be my girlfriend. I'll tell her, let's have a scandalous love affair. Now, when I say these types of things to a girl I've just met, does that make her obsessed with me? No. Actually, in pure power analysis Machiavellian terms, she's probably less attracted to me in that moment than she would be if I had just been aloof and mysterious the whole time.
Sun Tzu, the Chinese Prince Machiavelli.
However, and this is where things get a little bit evil, what does make her obsessed with me is the fact that I start off by declaring my love for her, quote unquote, and pursuing her shamelessly, but then, once she's got used to that, I pull it away. And then, that feeling that she has lost my attention, which she had before, is what makes her start to chase me to get it back. It's a 1-2 punch. Step 1 is that you go full simp. You do everything the red pill guys tell you not to do. You declare your love for her. You tell her she's incredibly attractive. You flirt shamelessly. You say things like, what's your name? And when she's like, Linda, you say, would you like to have a scandalous love affair, Linda? You really lay it on thick. And then when she feels like she has you, then you pull back. Then you go cold. Then you ignore her. Then you tease her or you disqualify her or you say, I don't know, maybe we're not right for each other. That shirt you're wearing, it's just, well, it's a little too blue. Nah, I'm over it. Let's be friends though. And this formula of giving her lots of affection and attention and then withdrawing that affection or attention away, that is how to flirt. That is what makes her chase you. And that is ultimately what makes a girl start to spiral into becoming obsessed with winning you over. And this requires you to be a simp. Now, not 100% of the time, but about 50%. It has to be half hopeless romantic, simp, desperate, needy beta male, and the other half cold, aloof, ruthless motherfucking villain. Mean, dickhead, a complete asshole. That is the formula. I'm telling you, there's a reason those Illuminati motherfuckers got obsessed with chessboard patterns. Black and white, good and evil, duality, yin and yang. The secret to everything always comes down to the unification of opposites, to balancing between two completely contradictory things. But what all dogmatic theory wants to do is it wants to simplify. No, it's not about balancing between two things. It's all about one thing. Just do the one thing. Just push this one button. Do it over and over and over and over and over. Women like assholes, so just be an asshole. Just ignore her. Never tell her you like her. No, the Illuminati are right. The Taoists are right. It's yin and yang. You got to do two things. You got to unify the opposites. You've got to master both sides of the coin. It's like if you went to bed with a woman who only has one boob. It'd be a lot cooler if she had two, right? Well, likewise, women want you to be able to trigger both positive and negative emotions inside them for a full range of experience. Be both a hopeless romantic and an aloof asshole. Alternate between them. Be unpredictable about it. That's what gives her that full range of emotions, and that's what gives her pussy tingles. If you want to make girls obsessed with you, you've got to learn the dance of push and pull. Push is where you say or do things that push the girl away. That could mean ignoring her, withdrawing affection. It could be teasing her, telling her you're not interested, telling her, nah, I'm over it. I'm going to go hit that other girl over there. It was nice to meet you though. Let's be friends. And pull is doing the opposite. It's telling the girl, I love you. We're soulmates. Let's get married and have lots of babies. But see, here's a big secret to this. In most cases, you can't really start with the push. You have to start with the pull. Because think about it, right? Let's say you see a girl in the mall. Let's say you see a girl in the ice cream shop. Let's say you're smoking a joint in the parking lot and you see the girl of your dreams walking to her car. All right, far out. Well, let's walk over to her and blurt something out, shall we? Hey, excuse me, miss, what's going on? I love your look. You seem rather fashionable. Are you a fashion person? I'm just kidding, I'm Michael. You're cute, what's your name? Now, that's a very congruent approach, right? It's authentic. You see the girl, you like her, you think she's attractive, and so you walk over to her and you tell her you find her attractive. In this case, it's I love your look, you look very fashionable, but it could be anything on the positive side, and that opens up the conversation. And it builds you some goodwill, because people like being complimented, you know? Like, no one's going to respond really, really badly to a sincere, genuine compliment. But now let's imagine you wanted to approach that girl, but you don't want to show any interest whatsoever, because showing interest in a woman is simping and will cause her to lose attraction, right? At least that's what your closet case, red pill masculinity coaches told you. So you see that girl of your dreams, and instead you walk up and you say, hey, what's going on? I hate you. I mean, I don't know. Fuck. I mean, it doesn't work, does it? Push-pull does work. Ignoring a woman does work. And negging, teasing, and being playfully critical of her does make her chase you. But in 99% of cases, you can't start an interaction that way. It just isn't congruent. It doesn't make sense. You've got to start things off with the pull side of things. You've got to start off complimenting the girl, showing interest, telling her you find her cute, telling her she's adorable. That is going to start off the interaction from the right frame. And then once you've got her talking and once you've got her engaged, now you can actually start being a little bit cheeky and spiking her emotions by dropping in some teases, by using some pushes. You know, I liked you at first, but now I'm not so sure. You know, your elbows are just too pointy. I just don't think I could date someone with such pointy elbows. And the girl's like, what? Oh my God, you're such an asshole. Bam. Attraction, arousal, chasing. She starts to actually want your approval for the first time. And as I always say, if you can make a girl seek your approval, you can make her do anything. It's that 1-2 punch. Jab, 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 right hook. Think of boxing, right? You don't have one hand, you have two hands. You have a left hook and a right hook. If you go into a conversation with a woman and you're not allowed to give her compliments or pursue her or tell her she's attractive because that's simping, bro. That's like going into a boxing match with one hand tied behind your back. You need both hands. You need both hooks. You need to blast her and light up her circuitry with strong emotions from both angles, negative and positive, affection and teasing, being a nice guy and being an asshole, being a simp and being a pimp.
I respect your ambition, Willie, but you got to have vision.
All right, so how do you actually do this on a practical level? Like, if I were talking to a guy who's never left his basement, never talked to a girl in his whole life, how would I advise that he get started on doing this and learn to use this formula to make girls chase and make them obsessed? Well, first of all, I would tell you, step 1, join a gym and start lifting weights 5 days a week. Step 2, start doing semen retention. Watch my video on red magic to learn how to do that properly. Step 3, start going out and approaching women. Make it your goal to do 100 shitty approaches. When you get to 100 approaches, you can give yourself some sort of a big reward or a big gift, you know, maybe an orgy with some Russian hookers or something. I don't know, it's up to you. But it's got to be something fairly desirable and expensive that will motivate you to do the 100 approaches. Step 4, throw your phone in the trash. Stop texting women. Stop DMing girls. Uninstall all online dating apps for now. We're going to focus on learning to create attraction with girls in person. And then later, once you understand how that works and have a good sense of women's reactions, it's going to be much easier for you to do it over text. But we have to start by practicing with real women in the real world, not bots, not Bangladeshi scammers behind hot chick profile pictures, real girls with real boobs, real butts, real faces, real hopes, real dreams. Step 5, figure out where and when you're going to do your approaches. Now, this is up to you. Personally, I don't like approaching women during my work week. I like to spend Monday to Friday 100% locked in and focused on my work. So what I like to do is I set a clear boundary. The work week is for working. The weekend is for approaching girls. And I do that 2 nights a week religiously without fail, every Friday and Saturday at various high-end bars around my city. Now, a lot of guys don't like bars. In that case, you can do day game, go to the park, go to the mall, go to high-end shopping districts, farmers markets, whatever. On weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, you'll probably have a pretty decent amount of hot girls wandering around those places. Step 6, take your phone back out of the trash, open it up right now, create a document, title it 100 Approaches Journal. And then what you're going to do with this is every weekend when you go out, afterwards, you jot down the date, the place you went to approach girls, and how many approaches you did. And then I want you to keep a running total of how many approaches you've done altogether. And remember, your big goal is to do 100 approaches. And personally, I find this to be the absolute best way to learn to approach women. I also use this 100 shitty approaches goal to get back in the game if I've taken time off from approaching for a few months. Because when I get into the venue and when I get to the bar, I'm kind of nervous, but it just focuses in my mind like, okay, I'm just going to crack out a few approaches here, knock a few notches off my 100 approaches goal. And even if I only do 3 or 5 approaches tonight, that will be a win. Doesn't matter if all the girls reject me, that will be 5 approaches done I can mark down in my approaches journal, and I'm 5 approaches closer to my total goal of 100. At the end of which I get to buy myself a hooker or a Ferrari or a rocket propelled grenade launcher or whatever reward I decided on. Okay, so that's the fundamental framework of how I'd advise you to attack this as a guy who's totally new. Now, as to what to actually say to these girls and how to make these girls chase you and make them obsessed with you, that's where we're now going to get into this counterintuitive and contrarian technique of using simping to make girls fall in love with you. So, as I explained earlier, to make a girl chase you, she has to feel like she's losing something. And this is because people are more motivated to win back something that they lost or that's being taken away from them than they are to be given something new. And we can use this principle to make girls chase us. How? By giving her something and then taking it away. And this is where we get into the 1-2 punch of push and pull. Or to be more accurate, it's more like pull-push. In other words, the formula is you give girls lots of compliments, you give them lots of praise, you show a lot of interest from the very start, you pursue her shamelessly. You can even tell her things like, I love you, you're amazing, you're adorable, you're gorgeous, you look absolutely stunning tonight, be my girlfriend, be my wife, let's get married, let's have kids. Now, these should all be delivered in a joking, tongue-in-cheek way, of course. I'm not saying to seriously make the girl think you want to marry her, but if you're dealing with good-looking girls in a bar or a club, they're going to know you don't want to actually have kids with them, okay? They're not But the point is, you do want to start off being very positive and complimentary to the girls, even to the point of chasing them, even to the point of saying things that might come across as a little bit needy or overly interested. But here's the key distinction. You don't just keep doing that forever. Once you've given the girls lots of validation, lots of compliments, once she feels like she has you, then suddenly you pull back. And a simple phrase you can use to switch modes here is, you know, I really liked you at first, but then you did blank, and my attraction for you, it's just completely died. Sorry. Like, oh, you know, I loved you before, but then you said you're a teacher and I just can't date another teacher. Sorry. And this can be stuff that's completely trivial and frivolous. Like, that's a nice shirt you're wearing. A little too blue. And then the girl's like, wait, what? What's wrong with my shirt? I love this shirt. And you can even play it off like, nah, I'm just kidding. Your shirt's fine. Anyway, where are you from? Just change the topic. But now you've planted that little seed. You've pushed her away a bit. And this subtly changes the dynamic to where she's going to be the one who feels like she's chasing your approval more than you're chasing hers. So it's like 80% nice guy simp, 20% asshole. Pull, simp, nice. And then, little push. And then that tease, that takeaway, that expression of disinterest is what makes her start chasing you. But if you really break this down, again, 80% of the time, you are being a simp. You know, you're being a nice guy. You're telling her you like her. You're expressing interest. And given that 80% is going to be based on actually just being nice to girls, shock horror, right? Well, why not start off learning that side of things first? You know what I mean? Like, if you're totally new to approaching women, why make things harder than they need to be by trying to put on this fake front of being this aloof alpha male tough guy and negging them or whatever, when that's probably completely diagonal to your true current personality and feelings? It's incongruent, it's inauthentic, and yeah, sure, you can do it, but it just makes things much harder for you than they need to be. So what I say, and this is where I go completely against the red pill and the current paradigm of dating advice, is if you're new to this, if you're new to approaching women, if you're new to flirting with them, why not start off by just fully leaning into being a simp? Why not embrace being a simp and actually just own it? Because it's fully authentic, right? Like, if you're new to this, if you don't get girls, then you kind of are a simp. You have simp emotions. You have simp feelings. You get huge crushes on any girls who give you the slightest bit of attention. And what I'm saying is you can actually use that. You can use that simp energy. You can harness that emotional power. And ultimately, you can direct it like a weapon to make girls fall in love with you. Because it actually plays into the rake archetype. It's that guy who is a slave to his love of women. It's that player like Casanova or Don Juan who's been with thousands of girls, but even still, when he meets a beautiful woman, he completely loses his head and falls madly in love with her, and he pursues her shamelessly. So if you're a simp, if you're an actual legit simp, what I'm saying is you can actually use that to play into and fuel that archetype, and women will love it. They'll love it because, number one, you're saying things that make them feel good about themselves, duh. Number two, you're being fully authentic. And number three, this is completely different from what other guys are doing. It stands out. It goes against the current meta of how guys think they're supposed to act around women. See, if every guy is playing hard to get, then playing hard to get loses its power. And at that point, then what is powerful? Well, it's actually doing the opposite. Switching the meta again, going back to the old school of seduction, the old school rakes, the old school romantics. And then finally, again, to clarify, I'm not saying you should stay in simp mode forever. This is basically like a training phase, and the way it should work is, say you start going out and approaching women, and you just focus 100% on giving them compliments and saying nice things. Well, let's say you do that every weekend for 4 weeks, and don't worry about the results at all. The purpose of this is just to get yourself acclimated to approaching women and get yourself acclimated to expressing yourself, giving them compliments, being a nice guy who approaches, key distinction, not a nice guy who doesn't approach, which is what most so-called nice guys are. Which again, this is literally 80% of the game. 80% of it is just being a nice guy, just being friendly and cool, being friendly and approaching. And then after that 4-week training phase, after you got used to talking to girls and you're more comfortable with it, now you can finally slide in that last piece of the puzzle that really creates the fireworks of attraction, which is you can start using teases, playful nags, pushes, takeaways, disqualifications, being a little bit of a flirty asshole, being a little bit of a dick, but it's all done on a foundation of being nice 80% of the time. And that is how you get girls chasing you. That is how you get girls fucking obsessed with you. That is how you become that guy who can talk literally any woman into bed to the point where other guys literally feel like it's dangerous to bring their girls around you. Which of course it is. So in this video, I gave you the ultimate formula for making a girl obsessed with you and making her chase you. And everything I said so far is really oriented towards my preferred way of meeting girls, which is approaching them in the real world. However, a lot of guys hate approaching women and they never want to do it. And if you're like that, you might be wondering, does this formula work over text? Does it work over dating apps? Or could it even be used for DMing girls on social media? Well, the answer is yes. In fact, the girl I put in the thumbnail, who was a 19-year-old stripper I started dating when I was 31, I actually met her on Hinge. And if you want to learn exactly what I said and how I got her and a dozen other very hot women into bed purely by texting them, then click the link in the description and watch my training video on the next page. In that video, I'm going to show you a 12-word text message that hijacks a girl's mind and makes her fall in love with you at a distance so you can literally text her into your bed in 24 hours or less. No more flaking, no more being ghosted, no more getting left on red. Click the link in the description and watch that video now to discover one powerful mind control secret and discover how to install love, obsession, and complete devotion in any woman's mind, no matter your looks, age, or money, just by sending her a text. Click the link in the description to learn how right now.